When you hear the word Mortichnia, what does it make you think of? Well, considering that it's a pretty obscure word, it probably doesn't make you feel anything. Mortichnia is described as the last walk, or death march, of a living creature. Knowing that, imagine what a band called Mortichnia would sound like. Mortichnia is a mysterious metal band from Ireland that is just getting started on its journey to success. They released one full-length album in April 2016. They're working on a follow-up, but that's the only material that they've actually released so far. Based on that one and only album, however, it's clear that Mortichnia is definitely a band to look out for. The style that this band goes for is a mixture of black metal and doom metal. This results in music that is as aggressive as it is bleak. Every measure is just soaked with grief, misery, and rage. This is accomplished mainly through the use of dynamics, distant screams, menacing guitars, mellow bass lines, atmosphere, and long, drawn-out songs. If you're looking to squeeze any and all hope and optimism from your life in favor of unflinching nihilism, this is the band for you. Mortichnia's debut album, Heir to Scoria and Ash, is a fascinating slice of despair-inducing sludge. The songs average roughly 8 or 9 minutes in length, and for the most part that length is deserved. Naturally, there's quite a bit of repetition, and that can make the songs feel like they're moving at the speed of molasses at times. However, they're always steadily progressing, and they're cleverly written so that listeners can slowly soak it all in. One thing that really surprises me is just how well produced this album is, especially for an obscure black metal band, which just screams no fi whatsoever. This album was produced, mixed, and mastered by James Kelly, a member of a more successful and experienced band, Altar of Plagues. The way everything reverberates and the different effects which were intelligently used at various points indicate an impressive amount of vision in this producer. Because of the way that the instruments blend together, it feels like the album was recorded in a wind tunnel at times, yet everything is still just defined enough to keep the songs crushingly heavy. Of course, recording and production only come second to songwriting, and luckily Mortichnia has that covered. While not every song is perfect, the songs are diverse enough to carry the album for more than 40 minutes, and they do a great job of conveying the ideas that they are intended to convey. The album starts off with the furious track Searing Impulse. It opens with a passage that is chaotic, destructive, and filled with rage, and then it finds its groove and becomes rather catchy. This is definitely one of the more energetic songs on the album, and it manages to maintain that energy throughout its long runtime. Searing Impulse does lack some of the emotional depth and catchiness of some of the later songs on the album, but don't get me wrong, it's a very solid song. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Then we have Carry On Proclamation. It bears some resemblance to Searing Impulse, but it takes a slower and more menacing approach. This is apparent from the very opening of it, because it opens in a much more subtle and drawn-out way than Searing Impulse does. After that, it turns into sort of an instrumental drone fest for about half its length. It's actually 14 minutes in total, making it the longest song on its album, and every one of those minutes is cold and terrifying. After that slow, lumbering drone fest, it speeds up a bit and develops on a different pattern for the remainder of the runtime. And I'd say its length is deserved. It doesn't progress very quickly, but if you're in the mood for something really slow and depressing, this is definitely the song for you. It's very enjoyable. I think that Carry On Proclamation is a beast of a song, and it deserves a 9 out of 10. After that, we get a brief interlude track called The Waning. It's only about 2 minutes in length, it's not completely necessary to the rest of the album, and its main purpose is just to foreshadow the last song. Regardless, it's really interesting on its own. It's soft, atmospheric, haunting, and creative. It has some really nice sound effects which help contribute to its eerie atmosphere. I especially love the haunting moans at the end. It feels like a ghost is screaming down my throat. I'm gonna give this song an 8 out of 10. A Furious Withering continues the tone of the first two songs. In fact, it's basically just a combination of them. It's perfectly decent, but I can't really say that it stands out much. The ideas it uses mostly just feel recycled, and the riffs and progressions don't catch my ears all that much. It doesn't have any more emotion in it than Searing Impulse has, so basically A Furious Withering ends up sounding just like a serviceable yet bare-bones Mortichnia song. You might enjoy it a lot more than I did, but I'm giving it a 7. Finally, we have Air. This is the song that the waning was setting up. Unlike the other main songs, which are in G minor, this song is in C minor, so it has a slightly different feeling to it. It starts out kind of slow and unassuming, but soon enough it develops into a powerhouse of a song. As it winds down, the tempo picks up, and we are treated to a spectacularly satisfying finale, which is perfect for an album of this caliber. It's energetic, but it's still just depressing and understated enough to fit with the rest of the songs on this album. Air is my personal favorite song off of Heir to Scoria and Ash, and I think it deserves a 9 out of 10. Heir to Scoria and Ash is a very promising debut album exploring the deepest, darkest, coldest, and most unforgiving depths of the human soul. With its punishingly heavy expressions of grief, rage, misery, and torture, it provides a very peculiar form of emotional healing to anyone who's ever felt those emotions, however infrequently. By letting loose all of these dark, destructive emotions, listeners can exorcise them like demons, and this exorcism creates a sense of empowerment. While not every song lands perfectly, Heir to Scoria and Ash has no problems achieving this goal, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Despite all of the great things that I've said about Mortichnia, I still think there are a few things they could improve on. For example, the screamed vocals on their songs are very soft and distant. They add a little bit of extra emotion, but I don't think they would really be missed that much if they disappeared from the songs altogether. Also, it's kind of funny to imagine the vocalist being like... Also, the way in which the band presents itself is pretentious. In the descriptions of the band on its online profiles, the writers seem to go out of their way to use as many big words as possible. Just get a load of this. Inspired by the burning fervor of black metal and the crushing despair of doom metal, Heir to Scoria and Ash is a conscious condemnation of human frailty and an awakening of irrefutable regret. Drawing lyrical inspiration from misanthropic instinct, the work presented speaks of sullen wisdom, its begotten grief sustained by cathartic visions of impermanence. Which apses demands more? No bodies prostrate in twisted reverence before its cold logic. Descriptions like these make at least a little sense once you know what all the words mean, but there's probably a much better way to convey messages than, well, whatever the heck that was. All of this just makes it harder to take Mortichnia seriously. Despite its flaws though, Mortichnia is a band with a promising, albeit limited, catalog. If this sounds like something you'd be into, I suggest you check it out. I've provided links to all the band's profiles in the description below. They're quite obscure at the moment, so I think we should all show them some love. And that concludes another episode of Up and Coming. Thanks for watching.